Oops. Okay. All right. I don't know how this lighting looks. This is a different location. And I picked this location because where I usually do the show from over there, for some reason, it's got a lot of flies today. And so, this is out at the picnic table. This is where I'll show you. Well, it looks better there. This is where our campfire is right there. And so this is where we sit around here at night and just do our conversating and things like that around the campfire. I don't have a campfire going right now because I was working right up until dinner time tonight. I see we got 6 people in already, or is that 600 people? Could be 6,000. We don't know. 2 quacks and 5 clucks is with us tonight, and I was having a conversation with him last night on Messenger. And excuse me, I want to boost this up a little bit so the light will be a little better. There we go. 6,000. Okay. You probably are a computer guy, so you know. Okay, so I'd say 6,000. That's cool. But if it was just 6, that's fine too. Can you imagine having 6 people over at your house that want to come over and talk about farming things? And, here it is, 8 o'clock. It's still sunny out. We would be out doing things if we weren't doing this. So this is a good way to relax and just kind of chill out and talk about what we do and what we want to do and what we think we want to do and things like that. I've got a very profound thing came today. See, if I was right up here, it would be just like that. But when I put it down here, it gets darker. Isn't that strange? All right, I'll try that. I was talking with a valued confidant today, and she said, you've heard about the saying that knowledge is power, but that's not true. And that kind of piqued my interest. And so as we cruise along tonight and we have several 100,000 people listening, I'll broach that subject again. But I wanted you all to think about that. Knowledge is power. And this person says, no, that's just not true. Just not true. And I'd like to expound on that because it was really profound. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about what we want to do. Okay, hog harvest. This year is going to be, here at Baker's Green Acres, it's going to be the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of November. Hog harvest on the road, it might be closer to some of you, will be in Gwinn, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula. If you don't know how Michigan is situated, we have the Great Lakes, and part of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, is actually separated from the lower part of Michigan, and there's a bridge that goes across called the Mighty Mackinac Bridge. And it's a 5-mile bridge, and it goes through what they call the Straits of Mackinac. And once you're up there, it's kind of a different world. In southern Michigan, we have Detroit. Up where I live, we don't have any of that business going on. And then you go further north, and you're really in cowboy country. So let's see. What did we pick for dates in Gwinn? I got Jill standing by here. I think we said
October 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, October 18th, 19th, and 20th. All right. It's the same price. It's $500 for the class, 3-day class, and you got to get your own lodging up there. You can check, lodging in Gwinn, Michigan. There's plenty of it. It's not exactly a tiny little town, but it will be at my friend Randy Buchler's farm, Shady Grove Farm, and this is going to be probably our 4th or 5th year doing it up there. This is what we call anyone can farm on the road. So we haul along with us the products that we need, the equipment that we need. And Randy's got Mangalitsa pigs there too, so then we use his pigs as training aids. For him, he gets his pigs done. He gets them turned into nice products. For the customers coming, you know, here's the thing. You think about the investment. You're investing in your ability to do a group of things on your homestead. The difference between a successful homesteader and an unsuccessful homesteader is the successful homesteader is willing to do what the unsuccessful guy is not. So, butchering a pig, easy or hard? If you've never done that before, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's bloody, it's guts, it's all of those things. And none of us enjoyed it the first time. But now that we know how to do it, it's actually kind of a comforting skill to have, because I have several pigs out on my pasture right now, and I know that if I needed to turn them into food, I could do that. You know, I need minimal things to do it. And this is what the Homestead Hog Harvest is about. We want to show you the minimum things that you need to get it to turn out a good product. So some of the equipment that I bring along is going to be a little bit advanced equipment. For instance, I bring a well saw along, and this is a saw that has two blades on it that reciprocate this way. It's similar, but you know, a Sawzall doesn't have two blades. A Sawzall has one blade. But when you need to split the pig in half, you can use a Sawzall. You don't need a well saw. For that matter, you can use a hand saw, a bone saw, and I bring one of those along too. Generally, we do one of the pigs like that, and then you get to see how much work it is to get through that. And then the other one we do with the well saw, because it's usually getting dark by the time we get to that point. But what we do is we start with live pigs. We shoot them with a 22 mag. We scald them. That's we put them in hot water. And we show you how all this is done, how you can do it at home. At Randy's house, we have a cast iron tub that we've used in the past, but there's definitely other ways to do it. You can use a 55-gallon drum to do it. And we talk about all those things. We'll even tell you our experience on them and sit down with you and help and draw some things out for you if you need that. And then we eviscerate the animal. That's where we cut it. We take all the guts out. And we go through this step by step. So when you're done, when this class is over, you have a skill, right? I show you the mistakes. I show you the common places where people screw it up, and if and when you screw it up, what you do to straighten it out. Everything can be fixed, you know. The only thing that can't be fixed is if you don't do it. Okay, and then day 2, we're breaking the carcass down into what's called primals. And then we take some of those primal cuts and we break them down further than that. So you may have no idea where bacon comes from. Well, we show you, and we show you how to get it off. Have no idea where pork chops come from. Show you. You're going to actually separate it from the animal, and then you're the one that's going to be taking the cleaver and ka-chung, ka-chung. It won't be freehand or anything like that. It takes time to get there. But you don't need a lot of high-tech equipment. You don't need a bandsaw. You don't need that stuff. That's the idea. You want to be able to grow a pig on your place and then in a weekend get it processed and in the freezer or turned into other products that you can hang, that you can preserve, and it can be done safely. It's been done safely for hundreds of years, and we avoid a lot of the chemicals that preserve meat. If you preserve meat with chemicals, how the heck is your body supposed to break that down? So a lot of what we do from a nutritional point of view doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, so we talk about a lot of these things and just general homesteading things. And then day 3, which is Sunday, it's a little bit shorter day, but people are pretty worn out by then anyway. That's when we're getting into the salting, grinding, stuffing, hanging meat, and everything under the sun like that. We share with you the materials that we use for reference that have served us well over the years. And this is designed so the average guy that says, guy or gal, I'm going to try and stop using gender-specific pronouns, by the way. I really am. The average person could, really even below average person should be able to, take notes, take pictures, all that stuff. And then when you get home and you've got some pigs, you should be able to process them. You will be able to process them. And then, we're on speed dial. You can call us and say, I even had a long conversation with a guy today. I wish he would call in on this show, but he's working nights, so he can't. But had some questions about some hams that he hung 2 years ago. And he broke into one of them today, and it was really good, Devin. And he was just calling to tell me how good it was. And in the course of the conversation, he says, oh, yeah, I kept them in the cooler the whole time. They were at like 35 degrees. And I said, that's not how you're supposed to do this. But it worked for him. So that's really what matters. And he's a homesteader. He's just feeding it to his family, and himself. That's all. Okay, so it's a great class. We have a ton of fun. Imagine people that will travel cross-country to go to a hog butchering. You're going to really meet some interesting individuals. I still have friends from classes that we've done, and then we've done classes at their place, So it's a really neat thing. If you have issues with the dollars involved, but you really need to take this class, let us know. Especially veterans, we can work with that a little bit. Okay, so it's going to be here November 1st, and it's going to be at Shady Grove on October 18th. It's colder up there, so I'm sure we'll be in good shape. I think that's when we usually do it. Okay. Okay, knowledge is power. Not so fast. Not so fast. You can listen to call-in shows like this. You can do a bunch of research and watch videos and stuff on YouTube. But if you don't do it, that knowledge does you no good. Okay? And here's an example. I had to go on a consulting mission this past week, and there was a lot of people there that I had to convince that I know what I'm talking about as far as farming goes. Nothing was said. There was no questionnaire or anything like that, but you go walking in there, and the mission was to secure resources to set up a community farm, and then somebody needs to be able to direct, what's going to happen. And I see myself in that position. I can dig, I can build fences, but I think I'd be better off really saying where the fences should go, and then, move on to the next thing. This is where this should go. So that's kind of what I felt I needed, the role that I would play in this. But anyway, I went there and I took a prosciutto ham with us, one that we'd made here in the shop. So it was a beautiful ham. It had the hoof on, nice Mangalitsa ham. Sometimes you see these things on the internet and they're $1,000. No joke, they're very expensive. But this is one that we made. This is a pig that was farrowed here, that was fed out here, was under my care for better part of 2 years, and then was slaughtered here. And it was most likely my hand that did it. And then me and my family made this prosciutto, salted it and cured it, and hung it in our room, in our hanging room, and it was there for a couple of years. So when we brought this product out, people looked at it and said, "Where did you get that?" And then we started slicing pieces off and letting people try it, and everybody thought it was really good, because it is. It's just outstanding. And this poor guy that was hosting us was making this really, really cool dish, but by the time we got to it, everybody was pretty full. So anyway, knowledge is something that you need, but you need to do the thing, not just know it. You need to do the thing. All right. So if you start embracing that you need to do the thing, then you're going to think of ways to do the thing, right? And it's the beautiful thing about homesteading is it isn't just milking a cow, it isn't just growing a garden, it isn't mowing the lawn, it's a myriad of things, and there's a whole pile of things that I don't even do, and I could, and I'd like to. There's so many things. The point I'm trying to make is Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "If you do the thing, you will have the power. If you don't do the thing, you won't have the power." As a matter of fact, I was talking with Randy today, and we were talking about a bunch of people that we know that seem to kind of circulate around, and they all go to lots and lots of classes, permaculture classes. They go to them. And then they get a certificate that says they've been to this permaculture class. And so then they're, "Oh yes, I'm certified in permaculture, da-da-da-da-da." But then that's it. They don't do anything with it. They don't do the thing. So when you start talking permaculture with them, or you start talking farming with people, or like this, and you say, "So, what are you working on now, or what's turning your crank right now?" "Well, actually, I'm not doing anything, but I am certified." So when you get out there and you do the thing, right, and ducks and clucks, you know what I'm talking about, because I see the pictures that you put up on the tribe of the things that you do. You're doing the thing. And that's probably why I was more likely to answer you when you interrupted something very important that I was doing last night, I'm sure. Is you're a doer. I mean, you're doing the thing, How many people do you know that just kind of talk about doing the thing, or read books about doing it? And that's good. That's good. But when you take it to the next step and you do the thing, embrace the fact that you do the thing. Embrace that. And I'm going to continue to remind you of that, because today, when Jill said that to me, she said, "Knowledge is not power." She said, "Action is power." I thought, wow, that's a good thing to say. And when we kind of analyzed that, I said to her, "I kind of live by that, don't I?" And she said, "You sure do." And I thought, that's it. That's what separates the outstanding, well, this might sound a little, in any field in the military, there was people that were way better at what I was supposed to do than me. What separated them from me was that they threw themselves into it and they did the thing. I wasn't that into it. I'm pretty into this, and I enjoy doing the thing. I mean, I did a lot of work today, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And as I was doing it, I was thinking, I'm not just talking about grazing cattle. I'm moving fences right now. And there's a lot of walking involved, and you got to carry the fence, and it's not hard. It's just that you have to do it. And it took me maybe an hour and a half to set up, but it wasn't like it wasn't fun. I mean, I was out there, I had my Jeep, and I had a rifle with me because I've been looking for a little fox that's been terrorizing me. So I had a good time. I really had a good time. But I was doing the thing. So if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you don't do the thing, you won't have the power. Okay? So that's my rant for now. I'll go over what Scott was talking to me about. This is Scott Burton, and he runs an outfit called Two Quacks and Three Clucks, is it?
5 clucks.
And 5 clucks. I just call them ducks and clucks. And so I was impressed that somebody is listening to what I say and then trying it. Okay, so I've had a really good time and a lot of success with my grow area. My grow area it's 300 long and 100 wide, and then I have it divided into 3 sections. So 100 by 100, 100 by 100, 100 by 100. And I've been working on it for a long time. It's fenced. It's fenced for pigs. When I started, it was fenced because we were going to do produce in there. But we shifted directions, and we're not doing produce in there. And I could go into that, but I won't. I'll just finish this. And in this grow area, I put pigs in there. And I will grow things in the individual sections depending on what time of year it is, how many animals I have, the rain that's coming down, availability of seed to put in, how many pigs I have. So it's very versatile. And where there's 3 sections, I can put rye in one section right before snow comes, and maybe it'll get sprouted a little bit, and then as soon as the snow is gone and we start getting some sun on it and it warms up, that rye will just take off. And rye is great to put pigs on. But then section 2, I could put field peas in there, and the whole thing is really an experiment. So field peas, I know they grow really well in the spring, and they'll make a thick tangle of bush field peas, and then I can take them off field 1 when they've wore that all out, and they will dig. They will dig to get the roots and everything, which is really good. And then I can put them on field 2, and when they're done with that, field 3, maybe I've sown that into radishes, forage radishes, which I really like, and then they could go on that, and then, and so on and so on. So all summer long, I'm continually moving pigs to a new section that's got produce on it. It's got some sort of forage on it that they can eat, and that saves the homesteader in feed that I need to feed these pigs. So I have like 15 of them out there, and my feed bill is cut by the forage that I grow. And it's very productive. I mean, a handful of 100 by 100, I'm not putting out there more than a couple handfuls of seed generally, and I can do it very quickly because the pigs have taken everything off and dug everything up and loosened up the soil when they chase the roots way down deep. And so that's the gist of this grow area thing. And Scott has done something like that. I'm not exactly sure the extent of it, but he called me and wanted to know how deep should he till. He's got clay soils, and how deep should he till? So I said, you go as deep as you can the first time, as deep as you can. So let's say he's got what's called a subsoiler. It usually is a shank with a duck foot on the end. Actually, it looks like a duck's foot. And sometimes there's 2 of them, depending on how much power you have in your tractor. Sometimes there's 5 of them if you have a really, really powerful tractor. But sometimes it's just 1. And you put it deep, sometimes up to 18 or 20 inches, and then you just rip, And what you're doing is you're breaking the, what do they call that? The clay shelf? Pan. You're breaking the hard pan. If you ever have dug a hole, when you dig down, you're going to hit what they call hard pan, and that's where the clay transitions into sand. And it's just a hard spot. And when you're growing root vegetables, they'll go down to that and then they'll stop. So the reason you want to break that is so they can go through that. And there's a lot of nutrient below that that can come up. And when you have pigs on fields, they're turning it all the time. So if you keep doing it this way, you can have soil this deep. You really can. You can build soils that deep. Because when a pig digs a hole, material winds up getting down in that hole. They may even manure down in that hole. And I'm only talking a hole like, this big around and maybe 12 inches deep. They're diggers, though, that's for sure. And then, you're getting a tremendous advantage by letting that pig just be a pig and dig. So by breaking the hard pan, then when you grow something like a daikon radish, which can grow, I guess I've seen them 16 inches long. So long as that hard pan's broke, they'll grow down. Some of it will grow above, but a lot of it will go down. If it goes deep and the pigs go down after the tip of that, that's good, because then they're digging all that soil up, putting it on top, and they're taking soil down, and they're mixing it all up. So he said that the guy rototilled it, and he only went like 3 to 5 inches deep. Okay, well, until you can get a subsoiler in there, go ahead and plant it, is what I said. Just go ahead and plant it. It's not like it's late in the season either. This is August, 20th or so?
21st, yeah.
21st. So it's not exactly late. I've put rye in on the 15th of September and gotten a pretty good germination on it. So it feels like it's late in the season because the kids are going back to school, but there's still plenty of growing left. I think we barely have any red tomatoes yet. And corn, I probably have corn in my garden, but they do have it out in other farmers that are better farmers than me have it. So we have been eating corn for sure. So it's still pretty early. I wouldn't. Scott sounded a little stressed, like, "Hey, I got to get this done." Maybe you have some other commitments that you need. Maybe Scott's a school teacher. I don't know. Maybe Scott's still in high school. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right. So
He looks like he could be.
I recommended planting rye. All right. Rye is a go-to. It's cheap. If you get seed rye, it's been sorted. But if you get feed rye, it's cheap. And sometimes you have to order it because people don't really use it much anymore. But it's a great cover crop. You really want to cover up your soil before you get to winter. All right, so rye is a good one. Make no mistake, if you put pigs out on pasture, they're going to ruin it. They are going to ruin it. That's what they do. And you can go and put rings in their noses and all that stuff, but they're still going to find a way to dig down and do a lot of damage to that pasture. And wherever they make a hole, you'll have weeds coming up through there. So don't think you can put them on a hay field after you cut the hay and then go back and cut hay off of it. You're just not going to do it. If you're going to put them on a field, dedicate that field to them, and then get used to sowing it back, sowing something in there. But in order for whatever you've sown in there to grow, they have to be off. You can't do, they can't be on it well, because as soon as something pops up, they'll just nip it right off. But I've shown pictures in the videos that I make of our grow area, and when the pigs come off of it, there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. They take every blade of grass off, and it's good. Because when you're doing this conventionally, they'll spray Roundup out there to kill everything off, and you don't want to be doing that, I don't think. Maybe you do, but I'm not going to do it. So I think that finishes up what Scott wanted to know.
He also wanted to know what besides rye can he plant, since the guy only went really 2 to 3 inches deep.
Well, you can do daikon radishes, because the daikon radish any of those root crops will break down. I mean, they're going to go down. And when your pigs go after it, you will get some. I mean, and like when I started doing mine, this grow area out here, I never did take a shank through it. I took a cultivator through it, and I only got down probably 8 inches. I just don't have the down pressure on my tractor to do it. But as time goes by, like you might even want to plan on this, Scott, as time goes by, even your rye roots are going to go down 10 inches, 12 inches. And when pigs don't have anything out there and they start going after roots, they don't stop until they get all that root out. That's what pigs do, they root. And you want to encourage that, actually, because if you're trying to get red-meated pigs, you get that because of the hemoglobin in the blood that goes into their muscles. And so when a pig is digging, they say that every muscle in the pig's body is connected to its nose when he's digging. You watch them, and they're just good diggers. So, forage radishes. This time of year, here's another good trick, too. Plant purple top turnips, and then don't let your pigs on them until the ground is froze. And then they'll have a hard time getting them out, and they'll stay busy in the wintertime. Stay off your fences.
He wanted to know where to order seed in bulk. The place where I got my current bulk seeds are sold out of rye.
Okay, rye seed could come from Johnny's, I suppose,
Or Fedco is where I
or
get.
Fedco.
And I get, yeah, between the two of them, I find the forages I get for you. The radishes, or turnips, or rye, if you can't get it.
Fedco? Okay. Did you get that? Fedco? They're out of Maine. I would think a search, you would be able to find that stuff. We have a cooperative in town. I live in a farm area, and I can get it right from there. You know, they don't have it all the time, but they have a lot of it. And I would do some experimenting too. Where is Scott from? Do you remember?
Ask him to type it in.
Okay,
South somewhere.
you're south of us. I think you're in Ohio or Kentucky. But anyway, you've got way more growing season than we do. All right, is there another question?
Yeah. Karen wanted to know if you have pigs for sale and any breeding stock. Maybe repeat the question.
Okay, Karen wants to know if I have any pigs for sale and if I sell breeding stock. I do not right now, but I work with a group of guys here, and they do. One of them has Mangalitsa Hereford crosses that are pretty nice. Anything that you get with Mangalitsa in it, the Mangalitsa is a pretty dominant gene, and in a couple of farrowings, you're going to be back to looking very Mangalitsa. So if you want to PM me, I can hook you up with these guys. I just don't have anything right now. I've got 4 sows, and I just exposed them a few weeks ago. So they're going to be a while. They're going to be just before winter. Prepare to pay a little bit more for breeding stock. That's just the way it goes. And you're going to want to do that too. Like if you farrow and you're selling baby pigs, if somebody wants, a male and a female, they're going to breed, so they're not going to be back. And they are going to be working against you, so you can get a little bit more for them. How's that?
Scott's in Partlow, Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he said he's got a mix, 5 pounds each of daikons, purple globe radish, ladino clover, and winter peas. Peas, clover, daikon, purple globe radish.
Huh.
That's a pretty good mix.
It's a good mix. I think it's almost like a deer plot mix, I think, it sounds like. Yeah, I'd go for it. And the thing about this is when you're planting it for pigs, they're going to wipe it clean so you can start over again. And with a mix like that, you'll be able to see what's going to work in the soils that you have, in the growing condition that you have. It's going to be very different from where I am. And you may discover something that you can share with the group that we never thought of. Here's how I thought of this. I went to the co-op and I saw what they had. And that's how I started doing it. And then Jill got me some stuff. Jill got me Sudan grass. Saw the pictures of it. Looks really cool. I can't get that stuff to grow.
You gave it a good shot.
Yeah, I gave it a good shot. Sounds really African, but it just didn't.
He
Didn't
said
grow.
his boar and barrow come next month. So,
Good. So
on his way.
Ducks and Clucks is going to be doing some breeding. It really makes a lot of sense if you're going to keep pigs to have a breeding pair because in the homesteading world, we want to make a gain. And if a baby Mangalitsa pig, you should be able to get $100 for it. And that's a chunk. I mean, if you have 10 of them, that's a chunk. And if you can, whatever you can do to make your bottom line better, you need to do. So, like in our case, your case too, everybody's case, we just brought some pigs to some people, some friends of ours that are going to be raising them on an island, right? But this island has several restaurants, and the lady works at one of the restaurants. And the restaurant owners, because it's an island, has a real hard time getting rid of the garbage, because they don't have a sewer system there. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure why they're not able to put it down in garbage disposal. But our friend is able to take a couple buckets of stuff home, and that's her feed right there. So she's got these two little pigs that are little conversion units, and they're going to take garbage, a liability, and they're going to make high quality pork and high quality pork out of it. So lean in and fat. And I know what's coming. I know what's coming now. Someone's going to say, oh, well, if you feed them garbage, won't they taste like garbage? No, they won't taste like garbage. We have a butcher shop here, and we butcher a lot of chickens. And I had pork chops for lunch today, and they tasted like pork chops. They didn't taste like chicken, right? They're going to taste like pork, right?
I had a question earlier this week. When do we start our turkeys, and when do we harvest them then?
Yeah. All right, turkeys for the homesteader. If your goal is to make a gain and you want to, if you just want to grow turkeys for yourself and you celebrate Thanksgiving, you just need to make sure that you have them for Thanksgiving. We used to sell to retail stores and restaurants and stuff like that, but we don't do that anymore because we don't have any licenses through the Department of Agriculture. Because I just don't want to partner with them. They're not good partners. They're bad partners. Really, they don't offer us anything, and most of them don't know how to do anything. But we're forced to partner with them if we want to sell to restaurants. And so anyway, I don't sell to restaurants and retail stores anymore. But when I did, we would grow about 50 of them, and turkeys, fresh killed turkeys, is probably one of the better products that you can produce. And when it comes time to sell them, either at Thanksgiving or Christmas, people do not think with their heads. They think with their hearts. They're thinking, oh, it's Thanksgiving and it'll be so special and da-da-da-da-da. And so you can get $4 a pound for them. And if it's a 20-pounder, that's a pretty good turkey. And if you've got a good source of feed and you know, and you can keep your prices down and you can keep your animals alive, you can do quite well on turkeys during those holidays. Another thing that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to process them yourself. And you could process, if you grow something on your farm and you want to process it, I think people have a tendency to think, I better ask permission from the Department of Agriculture. Don't even do that. If you grow turnips in your garden, do you have to ask them permission to pull them out of the ground and, cut the stems off? No, you don't. So don't go asking them because they'll tell you some baloney. If you're going to sell to somebody else that's in their jurisdiction that has a license through them, yeah, then that person has made a contractual agreement to only buy from farms that have also made contractual agreements with the Department of Agriculture. So just stay away from them. Just keep it homesteading and just keep it private, and don't be asking them for permission for anything because they're not really an authority. You're an authority on your property, and this is your process, and it's protected by the Fifth Amendment. So just leave it right there. But you want to know when to get turkeys? Yeah, I'm tired. When do we get them, Jill? June?
I usually get them early to mid-July for Thanksgiving.
Okay, mid-July for Thanksgiving.
This year, I got them in June, thinking we'd process when it was still not snowing.
Yeah.
But now I want a fox pelt for Christmas.
We had a fox problem. And by the time it was brought to our attention how good the fox was eating, we only have one turkey out of 20. So that was bad. And I'll tell you this: the foxes are smart and they learn. So we have Great Pyrenees dogs, and I recommend everybody gets Great Pyrenees dog if you're going to have chickens and ducks and stuff like that. But to keep the Great Pyrenees in, we have a perimeter wire, and it's buried just a little bit down, and when the dogs get close to it, they get a tone. If they go closer, they get a vibration. If they go closer, they get a shock. So it keeps them on our property, protecting our property. But where we do our chickens is also where we do the turkeys. The fox has learned that he can dash in, he can grab something and dash out. And by the time Obi gets there, Obi cannot go and run him down. So the fox has learned to dash in, grab something, and dash out. And he did it quite a few times. There was one night just after I made my first cutting of hay where I saw him, and I was pretty far away, and I took a shot, and it made that thwop noise. I thought I hit him. He ran right towards me, and I was jacking another round in, and he heard it, and he went the other way, but I thought I hit him. But I didn't. I didn't, because we had a guest here today that happened to see him or her. So it's just a question of time. I'll get her. Him. It. Oh, it. Sorry. All right. Is there any... Are there any other questions?
Eric Hale says hi, and Flattail First says, we have a fox problem too. How you doing? Dave Smith suggested put your bread on a big tarp. Let it dry, fold the tarp and run over it and put it in barrels.
Huh. You know what I've been doing? I get 10 yards of bread a week. It's a lot. It's more than I need. So I work with a couple other guys, and we split it up, and everybody gets what they need. And if we have more, we find somebody that needs it, and because you can't leave it around forever. So the muffins, I've been having the kids separate the muffins from the bread, and we're just putting them in old feed sacks. If you go over there, can you get me one of those muffins off the top of the rabbits?
Yes, I will.
Just so I can show it off. So my thought is that I would like to have a lot of food stored in one of the buildings, that if I had to, I would have food for my animals. And the thing with the bread is if it stays in the bags too long, it will get really bad. It'll turn orange. It gets so bad. This is the bun that I was talking about. We get tons of these. And we just dry them out. This one is bone dry. And I put them up on top of the rabbits' cages and I drop these in with the rabbits. And they love them, right? So if you want to feed a rabbit out and get it big in a hurry, that's the way to go. So I'm filling bags with these now, and hopefully I will feed them, in the wintertime, hopefully, along with everything else that I kind of save. All right. Is there any other questions?
I don't at the moment.
Buffalo Patriot. Haven't heard from Buffalo Patriot in a long time. A lot of these names go way, way back because we've been doing this a while, and our presence on the internet was really first. The reason it was there is because I was whining about how bad I was getting beat up by the state over our pigs, and a lot of these people kind of got to know us through that. So I think Buffalo Patriot was definitely one. Any more questions?
You want to show a puppy?
Okay. If there's no more questions, I'll just have to refer to cuteness, and I want to show puppies. Combat vet from Wisconsin, you are awesome. Thank you. I'll take that. All right. Buffalo Patriot says he's been busy. Notice I have to squint a little bit to see that. They should make it bigger. It's not fair. All right, here's two puppies. Oh, you just tipped my phone over.
Yep. Ouch. Did I hurt my knee?
All right. Okay, their eyes aren't. Are those eyes open? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they must be near about 10 days old. And a lot of you might be thinking, boy, he doesn't give that dog a rest. It's like running a puppy mill over there. I will have to, my phone froze up there. Huh. See how it's frozen?
Yeah. Oh, now you're moving again on my
Am I
screen.
moving again? Okay, on mine I'm not. All right, well, I'll just tell you. We really only want our female to have a litter once a year. But a lot of times I kind of harp on when you're homesteading, if you are in doubt, follow nature. I mean, that's what's worked for me. I don't think I ever read that anyplace, but it has worked for me. And if Claire was a wild dog, let's say, she would probably have 3 litters a year. I know she can have 2 a year, that's for sure. And she just had a litter in the wintertime, and we really did not want her to go again this year. And so we were keeping the 2 of them apart. I have a male and Claire's the female. And we were doing really, really well. We thought that she was done with her cycle. And we're going someplace, and one of the kids ran back in the house to get something and left the door open. For a second, she came out, and Obi was in the breezeway, and when the kid came back out after getting whatever he forgot, they were locked up. And it wasn't 5 seconds, and that was all it took. So it was unintentional, but it did happen, and she had 10 beautiful pups. So this time I've got a kennel that I'm going to put on concrete, and I'm going to actually put a lock on it. So when she goes into heat, she's going to be in there, and when she comes out, Obi goes in. So it's going to be controlled this time for sure. My picture's still locked up. Should I do something to unlock that? It's
I don't
okay
know.
with you? I mean, it's.
Mine always freezes.
Am I moving around on yours?
No.
Okay, can you hear my voice?
No, because I shut my volume off. Hang on.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't really have any questions.
All right, well, there's no other questions. Tell you what, help us out a little bit here. Once this is rendered and is posted, if you would, please share it so other people will come. I mean, this is saying there's 23 people. It's hard to know though with that counter. That's fine. But I'm thinking now is the time for information to flow, especially information having to do with food production. So if you could spread this around and bring other people into the fold. If you're interested, we have a Facebook page called Anyone Can Farm Tribe, right? Now, the Anyone Can Farm Tribe is going to be a lot different than just the general videos that I make. On the tribe, I can do videos that will offend people. But where you've asked to join the tribe, if you come back at me and get offended because I hurt your feelings, we'll just delete you, and then you won't be offended anymore. So it's kind of a way to give people a heads up that, hey, we're going to be butchering stuff. We're going to be, no cruelty to animals or anything like that, for sure, none of that. But some of the things that you do in the homesteading business in order to be successful are going to be a little tough to swallow. We had a tremendous time this last weekend. We went up to Beaver Island and spent the weekend with some friends up there. And they're new friends, but they're in the homesteading business, and they're very impressive people in what they do. And here again, it's not a thing where they have knowledge. They actually put it to work. They raise foxes. It's a fox farm. And then they process the pelts. They do all the breeding. They do all that stuff. And then they take those pelts and they make it into stuff. So they make it into gloves and scarves and cozies and can you think of what else they make it into? Like hats, but really neat stuff. So that's something that the homesteader should think about. You can raise zucchinis. It's not easy, but once you master raising zucchinis, you're going to find out real quick that you can't sell zucchinis. But if you take it to the next step and you make it into zucchini bread, then maybe not sell it. I shouldn't use that. I would say it's tradable. It has value, where a zucchini on its own doesn't have a whole lot of value because there's so many of them. If you're raising pigs, they have a lot of value, or if you like to throw them at cars going by, they're fun. But if you can make it into something like zucchini bread, it's just an example. So if you raise rabbits, they're good. For pets, they don't go so good. But then if you process it into a rabbit and then you take it to the next step and you make Hassenpfeffer from that, you could do really well with that rabbit, right? So the whole idea of vertically integrating and value adding is something that the homesteader should really get a hold of and utilize it whenever possible. You should be sitting around thinking of ways to do this. And this is the idea of this Wednesday night deal, because once you start down that path, all of a sudden it's like, boom, I don't know what to do now. And so that's the idea. You put your message in here and we try to answer it. And if we can't answer it, I think once we build this group, I think we'll have people that'll be chiming in. I mean, like the guy that chimed in and said, hey, take all that bread, put it on a tarp, let it dry out, run it over with a tank, and then put it in barrels. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, but I'll do you one better. If you have a hammer mill and you run all that bread through a hammer mill, now you're talking. All right, we're about out of time, so
Hey, Eric wanted to know, Eric Hale, do you
Eric
guys
Hale.
collect leaves in the fall? He said he does and fills his greenhouse up and lets the chickens compost them.
You know, I don't, but we do collect acorns in the fall because the Mangalitsa pig really does well on acorns, and the Mangalitsa pig is it's a charcuterie pig. It's a pig that does really well. It's a pig that's well suited to curing purposes. All right, so making prosciuttos and bacons and all, Canadian bacon and Copa, Loma, all these products that are made out of pigs. But those are cured products, and so when you want to cure a ham, for instance, you want tannic acid to be a part of that pig's diet. And tannic acid, you can find it a lot of places. Getting the pig to eat it is another story, but acorns, they will gobble them. And like this time of the year up in town, they're everywhere. And so pretty quick here, we'll be going out in force, picking them up. And, if you're doing pigs and you have a field and you can finagle it so a guy that does leaves maybe for a living, a lawn care guy, can bring it all to you, your pigs can go through that, and then it becomes part of the ecosystem on your property. And you want to continually be building your soils. So like Flat Tail Farm, she is able to get spent grains from the brewery, spent grains. And I was right there, dumped 5 gallons to those little pigs, and by the next day, they're about gone. But let's say you start getting 5 gallons a day, and it seems like a little bit much. It's organic material that's going to go into your soil, and the bacteria will break it down, and it builds the humus in the soil. So it's a good thing. I often recommend that when the tree trimming guys are out and they run the chipper behind the truck, if you can get them to dump on your property, do it, because they're looking for places to dump. And then that's really good stuff. A lot of these trees have really deep roots, and they bring stuff up from way down in the soil. Same with leaves. Leaves have a lot of nutrient in them, and a lot of elements, like boron and magnesium, stuff like that. Just very trace amounts, but that comes from deep down in the soil. And it's sort of a system. The trees put down deep tap roots that bring these things up from way down deep. How would we ever get them if that wasn't the case? So there you go. Is that it for questions?
That's it for questions, and it is starting to get dark.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark here, and my picture froze.
Yeah,
and
they said the picture froze, but they can hear you.
Okay.
So talk is good.
Oh, talk is good. All right. All right, well, I'm going to sign off for tonight. We will talk to you next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Anyone can farm question and answer, live chat. And stay tuned, Baker's Green Acres YouTube. I put a couple of videos up this week showing the grow area and whatever else I was doing. I don't remember exactly. But get out there, stay busy, do the thing, and you will have the power. Good night now.